Frack on, motherfrackers. Welcome to the episode of Frack The Canon, where I'm always joined by the coolest motherfrackers around. I am joined by CJ McCree from Milwaukee. How you doing, sir?
Oh, what's up, man? I'm just Kennan over here, you know what I mean?
And the always lovely Mrs. Sarah. How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm wonderful.
So, as we can see by your mug, yes, we will be talking about Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi,
I can't.
Barbie. You can be a Barbie too.
All right, let's just jump right into it. This movie, I just remember thinking the trailer when I heard about the movie. I'm like, why? This is gonna be ridiculous and idiotic, but I want to go see it. And the trailer came in. And I'm like, dude, oh my god, this movie is awesome. I had so much fun in this movie. I saw it twice. I saw it with Sarah, saw my little sister last night. She was supposed to join us, but she's not here, so frack her. Um, Sarah, let's start with you since you're the newest member. What were your thoughts? What did you think?
I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it gave us so much more than anyone could have thought. Like, I don't think anyone had any idea what this movie was going to be, because like we all got the photos of Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie on Venice Beach in the neon outfits like a year or 2 years ago, whatever that was. Everyone's like, well, this looks like it should be fun. But I had no idea what they were going to do with this cultural icon. And I'm just like, no movie is perfect, but it was one of the best things that we've had as a movie in such a long time. I feel like we haven't had a reason to go to the theater in this way in years. And I think that's like, not only was the movie phenomenal, but the entire kind of cultural conversation that's been surrounding it for the last week is also so cool. So many relationships have ended as a result of the Barbie movie, and I think that's hilarious. Mine is still intact.
I what I kind of like mostly echo what Sarah just said. I like I don't think anybody, like she said, was really prepared for like the level of quality we were gonna get from this movie. And I do think I think this movie is at odds with itself on so many levels. And like if it was like off kilter, like just the hair, like it would be a terrible experience, but it is not. It is like this crazy mess of a movie that is like very fun and very enjoyable. And I think like it was something I was talking to Renee about earlier this week, but I think like the mess of this movie is like what makes it so charming. Like it's a really charming, it's like a perfect mess kind of a thing. Like, but it's like, I really like a lot about it. I'm not in love with it as like a lot of people, but I am like floored, and like I am floored by the movement that this had. You know what I mean? Like it's so big. It's
Yes.
such a big thing, and it has no, what I love about it is because like something like this happens, right? And then Hollywood's like, okay, like let's all do that, right? Like, but there's no like touchstone for this, right? There's no like this thing, right? Barbie is like so unique of a property for them to have made this movie of, right? Like the closest thing is what, like GI Joe. Guess what? We
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
that. Transformers. Guess what? We tried that, right? Like freaking.
There was a Max Steel movie that I didn't know about that came out. I'm like, what?
Oh, I actually did know about that. Yeah, I never saw it, but
I mean, neither.
like something like this, they can't replicate because like there is not another thing that's like Barbie. You know what I
Well,
mean?
they
Like,
tried making toys and they never came in with anything that touched on what Barbie did.
right?
Yeah.
And it's such a unique movie too. Beyond that, it's such a unique movie. Like I really love, and I'm sure we'll talk about different finer points or whatever, but like one of my favorite things about this movie is like the sort of like ending message of it, right? And not the end stinger, which is hilarious,
And
but
we
like
should all see a gynecologist.
yeah, right. Which is hilarious.
You
But
jumped the
like
gun, Sarah. How dare you?
but the like the idea of like you don't have to be defined by the things around you, right? You don't have to be defined by the box that things have put you in, right? By the box that your friends, that your so-called friends, that your coworkers, that your job, that your family, that anything put you in. Like you can create your own worth, sort of, through, and I really think that like that's not just a poignant message for, you know what I mean, like, obviously a lot of this movie is aimed at the female audience, right? But like, I don't think it's just a poignant message for like females. It's a poignant message for everybody. And as much as I can speak for females as a man, but like freaking, but freaking, I think it's a poignant message for everybody. And I came away from the movie really appreciating them actually kind of hammering that message home. Like, hey, no, like, because there are so many people in this world, and there are so many people trapped in relationships, and there are so many people who are like buried under like the yoke of approval or whatever, you know what I mean, like, and who just maybe just need to hear that, right? Like, even once, right? And so because I really appreciate that message, I'm gonna stop blabbing right now. Renee, what did you think of this movie?
Oh my god, you know me. We talked about it like before we I think the day after. Actually, no. So I was on Tuesday, so it was like a Friday. So I called it, and it was a whole day at work. I'm like, we jammed for like 2 hours and a half about that movie because it was just. I'm like, wow, dude, what a good message about. Like, I saw it as my first thing was like, Barbie was never meant to be a expensive woman, like physically or sexually. Like, no, Barbie was meant to be. I can be whatever. I can be a scientist. I can be a president. I can be. That's why I saw it as. Talking to
Barbie
you was
was
like
our friend.
exactly, yeah, our friend, exactly. See, it was all that. I didn't, yeah. Talking to you was like, and when on the second video, I'm like, oh yeah, I did pick that up, and it was felt like that. Don't let the box define you, which I like that touch, TJ. Like, don't put the with the box that life put you in, but like, it felt like that was mostly for Ken, like physically, like we saw that through Ken, like he was trying to be defined by what Barbie was supposed to be to him, right? And then she goes like, no, like you can be whatever you want. But as she realized that to Ken, she realizes herself too. I'm like, oh my god, because I was always trying to like protect him from whatever. That's why I got second viewing. I was protecting myself in this box, and so he kind of like I realizing, hey, you do whatever you like. Letting him go, she let herself go too. That's kind of I'm like, okay, cool. And so I love everything. I love the jokes. Mattel or recently released I'm a Knuff hoodie. I will be buying that. Know
It's
this.
already sold out and on pre-order.
I don't care. I'm gonna buy that. I will go to Redbubble or somewhere, or I will buy a knockoff. But I'm gonna get me a Knuff.
They're all over Etsy.
I will
Nice.
go
Trust me,
there
I already
too.
looked. I looked for my man already. I bought him the Ken boxer shorts.
I don't need the boxer shorts. I need people to see my Knuff hoodie.
They're pink.
I want it to be seen by someone. No one's gonna see my. Sarah,
I
you
got
know
Sarah,
the
the
boxer shorts and I got the what else did I buy? I bought him the fanny pack. Ken
Sarah, you know
fanny
my
pack.
current love situation. Yeah, I no one's gonna see that.
It's okay. I mean, you can rock around a little, little hip moment. I don't know. I thought I was being funny. I was just so shocked. Like,
But
just sorry, totally interrupted. I'm like, I got excited about merchandise.
look, go ahead. No, let's go for it. Let's talk about it all.
Well, so I think the next thing that I want to touch on is, like I kind of mentioned, the effect that this has had on relationships. And so I'm joked about how this movie, in a lot of ways, especially for heterosexual relationships, is going to be kind of a litmus test. There are so many women who went to this movie with their boyfriends, their husbands, and whoever who just didn't get it. They didn't understand it. And they came out looking at the man next to them, just like super sideways. I'm lucky. Like, my boyfriend thought it was hilarious. He actually came back with me to, our little local watering hole and listened to me go on like a 2-hour diatribe explaining the history of Barbie and the culture and all of this stuff to all of these middle-aged men who now are kind of like to see Barbie, which is great. But he was right there with me. And he's like, no, it's phenomenal. It's funny. It's great. I think he really took the message away. And I think it's a really telling moment who people thought the villain was and what they thought the villain of the story was. And it kind of shows you how even though the message is right there and it's kind of gently delivered on a plate, people can still just completely miss it. This is one of the most sensitive portrayals of men that I think we've seen in a movie, at least in my life, almost ever. you know, I think it gives a lot of humanity to the male experience. Not that I want to sit around and talk about men forever, but I think that's one of the elements that's really interesting, is that the people who are saying, oh, well, men were put down, I go, no, they just weren't the focus. But for so many men, not being the focus is like the end of the fucking world. Sorry, the end of the fracking world. It's the end of everything. And it's like they can't even fathom being that way. And so when we saw it turn around immediately, like, oh, we have to oppress women, but women weren't oppressing men. They just forgot about it entirely. Which
Which
is
can
how
be
most
oppressive. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
reflection of life.
What I wanted to say, like, to on what you were saying, like as far as like, I think that's a very interesting comment, like who different people thought the villain was, like, because like when you said that, I was like, wait, who did I think the villain was? Like, because it's like at first, like I thought, at first you're like led to believe like, okay, well, it's like these suits over here, right? Like, and then it's like, oh, well, it's like the Kens, but it's like generally like kind of like just toxic, like kind of like masculinity, kind of, but like, but not even.
Patriarchy.
Yeah,
The answer is patriarchy.
right. Like it's not even, because it's not even like, it's just, but it's an interesting movie. It's a really interesting movie, and like I'm glad that I saw it, and like it.
I am
Like,
too. I'm proud of all of the men who have gone to see this movie,
mm, I
especially on their own.
on now I took my niece to see it, so like, but at,
Also perfect.
yeah, what was I gonna say? The freaking. I lost my thought. I'll think of it later.
The patriarchy, the suits. Yeah, because I didn't think there was a villain, to be honest with you. I felt watching this movie and the second time, I'm like, this is a character piece. There really is no villain of the story. It's just Barbie wanting to be normal again, pretty like perfect stereotypical Barbie, and her. So we went to film school. CJ went to film school, take a shot. Um, it's her hero's journey of being like discovering who she really is, who she changes.
It's called the heroine's journey.
Hey, I don't make the rules, all
Different.
right? I don't make the rules, all right? I just enjoy them.
I'm just telling you, it's not. This wasn't a hero's journey story. It was a heroine's
All
journey
right,
story, which is different. It's an
it's
important
her journey.
distinction.
It's Barbara's. It's Barbie. It's Barbie's journey. Heroine's journey.
No,
Heroine's
but
journey.
I guess my caveat to that is, do you know that there actually is what is coined as the heroine's journey, and it is different than the hero's journey? Have you heard this?
I have not.
Oh,
Educate us.
I'm like, wait, sidebar. Let me Google this so I don't mess it up. Um, so the heroine's journey was somebody's response um to the idea of the hero's journey, but it is slightly different. Um,
While you are looking that up, I remember
yes.
my thought. The freaking what I what I was thinking about it is that I thought that. Nope, I lost it again. Sorry.
We are tired. It's been a long day.
I know.
We're in our late 30s. We are not the audience for this movie, but frack, did I love this movie. All right, go ahead, Sarah.
So I found it. So it was, I'll find the woman's first name, but essentially the heroine's journey is the healing of the wounding of the feminine that exists deep within her and within the culture. And so the feminine journey is about going deep down into soul healing and reclaiming, while the masculine journey is up out into spirit, is the way that it's described. So the hero's journey, while a woman can go on a hero's journey, the heroine's journey is very different. So Barbie's journey was not, there was an element of going up and out and into the world, but there was also the turning around and facing the world as it faces you and going internally and healing yourself, which is what separates this movie from a lot of other movies. So this, oh, what's this woman's name? Like, load. This was proposed, I forget when, but in response to the idea in 1990 by Maureen Murdoch. Maureen Murdoch. Um, so she kind of pointed out basically that the hero's journey as an idea was missing women. It just is different. And so heroine's journey stories are a little bit different. Men are often going out to seek something, seek their treasure, seek their fate, seek their whatever, where women's journeys are much more likely to, you may go out and do, but you're going to turn inward and look at yourself in your position in society, in the world, in the culture in which you live, wherever that may be. Uh, there's my little derail. Little,
That is
you went to
exactly.
film school. I am a feminist.
Hey, she just schooled some film nerds.
Well, actually,
Okay, listen, second time, I remember my thought, right? All right, so like
Third time,
it's
really.
or third time, based on like what she was saying earlier about like the men who can't handle like this movie or what they felt like they were slighted in this movie. One of the things like that I really appreciated about this movie was like I kind of went into it like feeling like I was gonna get dissed in some ways, you know what I mean? I feel like I feel like I go into like things like that. Like it's just a natural response, right? Like where I'm listening to like female led music or that, I'm just like, okay, like there's gonna be a healthy dose of like, you know what I mean? Like this, it is what it is, right?
that's what men do.
And that's why, yeah, that I was literally about to follow it up. Like it goes both ways, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. Like, you know, I just happen to be a male, you know what I mean? And so like I was actually pleasantly surprised because it was like there were some moments that I would call like where it's like, okay, here's the obligatory like empowerment moment, right? Like, and so I'm just like, all right, yeah, okay, they got this, I got it. It doesn't suck or whatever. And like this is the man talking. I just want to this is the man in me talking. And then like
You think?
yeah, right. Yeah. And so like freaking but then I was like very pleasantly surprised because it's like followed up like usually just a scene or two later with like it flipping it on its head. It's like, no, this actually isn't the kind of movie that you think it is. Like this is and it made it like so fun that it was just like I can't even I can't even feel that way about this, you know what I mean? It's like amazing, this is great. Like I love like I was talking about like the obligatory like kind of empowerment speech, right? Like they had that and then it was just like, okay, cool. And then like the very next scene, like this is the way they deprogram all the Barbie. So she actually has to like remember and repeat this heartfelt speech literally every time for every Barbie to like deprogram it. And I just thought that was so hilarious and so funny. Like and so
I just
so
loved
clever.
all the funny moments of them being like, "Are you watching The Godfather?" Or like,
Explain
if
it
you've
to me.
ever had a man play guitar at you, is the way that it was described. Is like, because it's true. And then, oh God, I died when they zoom out and it's all of them playing the same song. And oh my God, there was so much delightful ribbing that comes from, I'm gonna say, but honestly, so I'm gonna get a little bit too deep, but I'm allowed to because I'm Black and a woman. Um, it's the kind of humor that you can only have about your oppressor. And so it's the way that like Black people and minorities can make movies and comedies and things about white people that have a certain amount of nuance and understanding because you've been watching them and you understand them and you know them, and it doesn't always go the same way. Men can rarely write women in a human way because men don't pay attention to women. But women, in order to survive, have to pay attention to men and are therefore able to make these jokes that I think point at something really important, but also are that's totally real. You can't tell me that's not real. You can't tell me, even as a dude, that you haven't seen that guy. You know what I mean? That you haven't seen some guy playing guitar at some girl who's like, uh-huh, yeah, yeah, uh-huh. Oh God, you know what I mean? Like, and it's such an interesting thing. And I guess that kind of transitions me into another interesting conversation that's come up surrounding. I've obviously spent a lot of time talking about this movie and listening to everybody's stuff, which is people brought up the idea that they wanted it to be more intersectional or they wanted it to touch on more stuff because we saw all different kinds of Barbies, all different races of Barbies, but none of it was mentioned. And I think there's an element of that that's really positive. Like, we got a fat Barbie. who was just lawyer Barbie. She wasn't fat lawyer Barbie. She was lawyer Barbie. And it wasn't mentioned. Our President Barbie was a Black woman, but she wasn't Black President Barbie. She was just President Barbie. You know what I mean? Like, we got these moments that so rarely happen when you're a marginalized person, where you're not reminded of your own marginalization before, you know, something happens to you. You're not you're reminded, oh, but by the way, you're the Black president. By the way, you're the fat girl. By the way, you're the this qualifier before whatever the accomplishment was. And I really, you know, somebody said on the internet, they go, well, it's a Barbie movie, not a TED Talk. You know, we only had 2 hours. We can only get so deep into feminist theory. But the irony didn't escape me of all the women I saw specifically, or men or anybody else, who sat there and watched this movie and then went back and said, well, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. Like, wasn't that the whole point? Is that we're never what anyone wants? I don't know. The whole movie feels like a 1-2 punch that's also like ducking blows, and people are just missing the point as it's flying in their face.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
could go on.
I feel like that's like kind of like the nature of like of films too, like especially things that have something to say. There's going to be so many people who like come away with different, you know, messages that they hear from it. You know, one thing I wanted to talk about the cleverness of the humor and the writing of it. Like, this is a non-crass adult movie. And I really appreciated that. Like, I was like, this is an adult movie, but like not in a way where like they're flapping, you know, chest or whatever, or like freaking, or even talking crassly, right? You know what I mean? It's just like,
my friend compared it to Zoolander. That's her closest comparison. Was she said it was kind of like a Zoolander type of humor.
it reminded me of an SNL movie, like
Yes.
like one of those SNL movies. It's like it's one part SNL movie, one part like straight up message, like, and then they like kind of like put those together, kind of like I do like why is Will Ferrell in this movie? Like, why is Will Ferrell in this movie?
Why is John Cena?
Right, right. Like,
Why is John Cena a mermaid with a great wig?
a better wig than Dua Lipa.
You all saw that? I didn't see him at all. Sorry, that was horrible. That was horrible. Let's talk about Will Ferrell. I hate Will Ferrell. I'm saying right now. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I'm like, that to me was, I'm like, why is he in this movie? And it's just like everything I don't like about his performance was in this movie. I'm like, oh my god. Like, it just felt like this is a smart movie. It's a smart character. It's like everyone's pretty like real to what they're. But I'm like, when he stops because he can't turn over, I'm like, dude, like I can't. I can't with this actor. I can't. It just, and like the character wasn't an evil character. He was just doing his job. But I'm like, he wasn't the antagonist either. But I'm like,
so goofy.
He was.
Was he goofy? Was he though? I'm like,
he was, and I think it was a callback to his character President Business in the Lego Movie. That's what I kept thinking. So The Office is supposed to be a reference to Dr. Strangelove, I guess, which I'm not familiar with, but that's how that was designed. There was a lot of fun little film dork moments, but I connected him with the President Business character in the Lego Movie. For me, like, he's almost this kind of cartoonish guy. Like, they needed somebody to play this role, and the way that they went through that, you know, running through the thing scene. I'm not the biggest fan of Will Ferrell, but I've grown to respect him as an artist and as a creator. I think he's really talented. I think he just either picks or is put into really dumb stuff. That is my kind of thing with Will Ferrell. I don't like him trying to do Chris Farley, which is what I think he does a lot of the time, and he's not as funny as Farley, so I'm like, whatever. Shoo. But I didn't mind him. My boyfriend brought up the idea that Mattel is almost in neither the real world or the Barbie world, which I thought was kind of interesting.
ooh.
So that may also be why he was so weird, is because like Mattel is almost supposed to be
the
in
bridge,
neither
the
place, but
portal.
exists in both. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. No, that's interesting. I just like
You just don't like.
I don't like. I used to like him. Up like my first time I saw him was in Night at the Roxbury, and I loved him in that. But as career went on, I'm like, dude, like Anchorman, I think was the last movie I actually enjoyed. He's in maybe old
Yeah, I
school.
just love him in Stranger Than Fiction. That was
Yeah,
when my
I really
whole
like that.
attitude about him changed.
That was the last time. Okay, let me. Yeah, because we had to talk to him about that again in film school. Take a shot. That's right. That's the last thing I saw him. That I'm like, oh, dude, you are a good actor.
Yeah,
But
he's a
yeah,
very
but
talented man. He just picks really weird projects.
Well, see, that's him being in this movie is where I got the idea that like this is almost like two movies combined. Like I've like it almost made
yeah,
me feel like it almost made me feel like the first draft of this movie was a lot heavier. And then that somebody came through and was like, hey, this is about Barbie. This is a kid's toy. Like, maybe lighten this up a bit. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, throw Will Ferrell in there. You know what I mean? Like, or something like that.
That's possible.
Like,
Because there definitely were a bunch of moments that made you sit down. Like you got this momentum, and then they made you sit down. Like when she's running, and then she runs into what's her name, Rhea Perlman, in the weird ghost office on the 17th
yeah,
floor or whatever, which I thought was really darling, but also very odd. Like there was definitely like it's
yeah,
not
that was weird.
a perfect movie by any stretch, but I think the absurdity of it is also really special because like the absurdity of Will Ferrell being aware that her ghost keeps an office on the 17th floor is really interesting to me. You know, I'm a Brechtian Beckett gal. I like a little, you know, Eugenie Ionesco absurdity. Yeah, see, your film school. I'm weird theater kid. There's my absurd theater moments. But I think some of the moments were a little odd, but they were also really touching. And I don't know what I think as the audience, they know when you kind of need a moment to breathe. You need a moment to like, and kind of like Barbie did. Barbie caught her breath with that cup of tea, and I think the audience needed it too because so much was happening. On a completely separate note, can we talk about the fact that Mojo Dojo Casa House has become a verb?
what does it
What
mean?
does it mean?
So, okay, here's the way I'll put it. Somebody said that Elon Musk Mojo Dojo Casa House Twitter. Does that make sense to you? He came into Twitter, a perfectly
And
fine platform, and he Mojo Dojo Casa housed it. He just added a bunch of unnecessary things that did not make anything better, made it worse, and created its downfall to Mojo Dojo Casa House. There's also been a series of women on like TikTok who are like, I just realized that I live in a Mojo Dojo Casa house. And they're like showing all of the stuff that's in there.
oh
Like,
no.
oh,
I
oh
think it's
no.
called the Man Cave, Sarah.
It's a
I'm sorry.
Mojo
I'm sorry.
Dojo Casa house. Say it. It's fun to say. That was such a beautiful moment, though, where both
Yeah,
America
that
Ferrera
was
and her daughter went to say, and Barbie's like, stop that. Because they're so conditioned to do that. And she was like, no, ew. There was also the beautiful moments of, like, for me as a woman to see what it would be like if you lived in a world where you aren't constantly fearing for your life with every interaction you have with men. Like when he asked to come over and she was like, why? I don't want you here. And could just say that. I swear to you, the entire audience, all of the women in the audience all went internally when she said, I don't want you here. I swear we all got really scared. And when he was like, okay, that was shocking because we don't get in our real lives any interactions with men that don't come, like she said, with an undertone of violence. When she got to the real world and immediately was like, I am uneasy and there is an undertone of violence. And that is a really, really bold and honest thing to say in a movie. And the only reason she can say it is because she is a fictional character coming from a world where there was none of that. And so she doesn't have all of this horrible conditioning the rest of us have. I also love that the daughter started wearing pink. because we all go through a pink rejection phase. We do as women. We're like, I don't want to be pink. I don't want to wear pink. As we can see, I've come out of my phase. Everything I own is pink and purple now.
I want to talk about this too. One thing, I'm like, I know it's probably we're talking about it, but like, Ken's song was awesome.
Which one? I'm
Right.
just Ken.
That one.
I just don't know who I am without you.
You're Ken.
But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken.
Doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two. No one knows how hard I tried. Oh, I have feelings that I can't explain. They're driving me insane. All my life been so polite, 'cause I'm just Ken. Anywhere else I'd be a 10. Is it my destiny to live and die a life of blonde fragility? I'm just Ken. Where I see love, she sees a friend. What will it take for her to see the man behind the tent and fight for me? I'm just Ken, and I'm enough, and I'm great at doing stuff. So hey, check me out, yeah, I'm just Ken, baby. I'm just Ken.
I'll see you on the Malibu beach.
Well, you know, what other song was there?
There was the second where they're fighting, right? Where they're
Yeah, well, there's the
I thought it
other
was
one.
I thought it was one.
Well, there's the one he sings, but there's the other one that's just the man I am. That's the flash. Ah, that one that's in there. That's really important.
No, the one
It's become really important to me.
Ken. That one.
That one, the one he sings. Well, he sings that one. He also sings the Matchbox 20 song.
I thought it was one song. I thought it was one big long song.
I'm just Ken and the Matchbox 20 song. I don't think are the same song.
Oh yeah, the match. No, I
That
meant
also
the other
happens.
Ken, not the match.
I
I
think-
was talking about Matchbox 20. Come on, Sarah.
It could be in the movie that they're meshed together. I don't remember. They're separate on the album, so I've been listening to the album.
No, I'm talking about the I'm just Ken. That's the one, not the one where that.
Put your manly hand in mine.
Yes.
I love that.
Oh.
what was the one with all the choreography and like during like in the middle of a dance, he like plays rock paper scissors with
Yeah.
Samu.
They're not gonna fight. They're fighting, but with like, tennis rackets and all of the other accessories that would exist in Barbie Land, which was phenomenal.
It was
The
great.
props in this movie were phenomenal. But that dance sequence was so good because so much of this was meant to harken back to old Hollywood musicals. And that's what we got. Like they were dancing on a soundstage. Those sets when they're traveling are all mostly hand painted, and they did that all in studio. Like someone is sitting there rocking the boat physically and like doing all of the old travel stuff, which I think is phenomenal. I'm sorry, Renee, we got distracted by the songs. What were you gonna say about the Ken song?
But that was it.
I'm just obviously way too
That was,
excited.
I like.
I like it a lot.
You liked it a lot.
Now I wanted to ask Sarah specifically, how much of this stuff did you own that was in this movie?
How much Barbie did I own? So I had a lot of Barbies. I didn't have a ton. I had a lot of dolls, but Barbie, I had a lot of. I'm looking at a Barbie right now. Like I've got a Barbie up there. There's Barbies in my living room. My favorite Barbie, because it's an important question. My favorite Barbie was FloJo Barbie. Came out in 1999. Do you remember Florence Johnson, the track runner?
Okay,
Fastest woman in the world for a while, yeah. Who had the long nails. FloJo Barbie came with like little nail stickers you could do on your nails and on her nails, and it was the whole thing. But no, I had a lot of Barbies. So it was funny because I was the kind of different little kid. A lot of kids would get for their birthdays got baby dolls, but I was for some reason like Sarah was the cool kid, and all my friends bought me Barbies, and so I've always had a million Barbies. But I wasn't a super pink girl. Barbie was cool. Barbie was a fashion doll. Barbie was everything. We had tons of Barbies, but we didn't have the accessories. I think the accessories took up too much space. I remember my cousins also had a Barbie trunk that we just had this huge trunk that all the Barbies lived in. Like all the Barbies eventually came to live in the trunk with all of the like random stuff that we'd acquired that was deemed Barbie stuff. So like, a basket that could kind of be a house. I specifically remember I had a picnic basket that I made into a house, and that was like the Barbie house I made all the time. So there's a lot of Barbies in my life. I've been a Barbie girl forever. I've been a defender of Barbie my entire life. Um, I'm definitely, I've always fought against the idea that Barbie gives women an unrealistic expectation of their bodies or whatever. I'm like, it's a doll. Like, it's a doll. Last I checked, if I looked at any of my dolls, you're not supposed to be built that way. Babies don't look like that. If my baby doll actually looked like a baby, it'd be kind of freaky. Have you seen the real dolls? They're scary. I mean, I'm a big fan of Barbie. I thought Barbie was so important. I'm so happy this movie exists. I'm so happy that so many people have been reconnecting with this part of themselves. And I think this has been building for a couple years as well. There's been a movement on the internet that people have been calling the bimbo movement, which is like, girls who dress like me with, the little tiny tops and the little pigtails and whatever else, but they're sitting there like spouting communist theory. They're like teaching you about socialism while also dressed in pink and sparkles and platform heels. Like, but mind you, billionaires are unethical and all of this other stuff. And I think there's a really interesting moment for women happening. And I love that Barbie's happening. But yes, I had many Barbies. I'm literally looking at birthday Barbie right now. But I also had American Girl dolls. And that was an interesting evolution that took place too. Because American Girl dolls, I think, were a response to Barbie being an adult. They were all about 9 or 10 years old and were historical dolls that all came with a book of try to get girls into history. And so there was a lot in the 90s. There was a lot of different options for dolls. I think the early 2000s when we got the Bratz dolls that were supposed to be another response, like an anti-Barbie. But I could get into dolls all day. I think one of my favorite things about the movie was how many of the discontinued Barbies they included and that they're real. And they showed the real ones at the end of the movie. And I thought that was phenomenal. There were some that I forgot about. I forgot about the dog that pooped little pellets that you could pick up with the magnet scooper and like, video Barbie. Those are all real. Somebody conceived of all those. I was so happy we got both Sugar Daddy Ken and Magic Earring Ken. Phenomenal.
That was one of
Phenomenal.
the funniest jokes too. In it,
Yeah.
like this is Sugar, and I'm her daddy.
And I'm her well, because they could never admit they made a gay doll. Of
Mm.
course not. But he was so clearly a gay doll because he was supposed to be like from Palm Beach. He was $50. He was part of a special anniversary line. It was the whole thing. Earring Magic Ken was an accident, apparently. Like, if you haven't heard the lore on Earring Magic Ken, they were trying to get like a cool hip Barbie because nobody cared about Ken. Nobody's ever cared about Ken. Ken's an accessory. Everyone had one Ken and many Barbies. Because you only need one. You only need one dude. But they had earring Magic Barbie that came out with matching earrings for you. And they wanted to make a cool one. So they sent their like, whatever designers out to like the club scenes and to check out what was hot and new. So basically they came back and they accidentally made a gay doll with, this like mesh shirt and a pleather vest and a shiny silver circular accessory. And it was immediately clocked by gay men. And they were like, did Mattel really do this? Mattel to this day denies that they made a gay doll, whatever. But it's one of the most popular dolls and one of the highest selling dolls, even though it was pulled almost like within a couple months. It was just so that was one of the things that was interesting to see was the little bit of queer representation we got. I like that they were kind of together. And obviously Kate McKinnon as our fantastic weird Barbie.
Oh yeah.
I love that joke.
Right.
Sorry we called you Weird Barbie behind your back and in front of your face.
To your face every time. Every time.
At least they were honest.
Final
Somebody made a
comments,
really
final comments, final
somebody
thoughts.
made a really
Sorry.
Like, I have one more thing about Weird Barbie. Somebody made a really interesting point about Weird Barbie, and Weird Barbie almost always comes from what started out as your favorite Barbie. And that's how she becomes Weird Barbie, is because she is your favorite and she's the prettiest one. And you play with her too hard. And then she becomes ugly and she gets denigrated to being something else. And it's so interesting to me that they were. I just think, okay, final thoughts. I think this movie is a phenomenal exploration in like feminism 101. I don't think it's by any means, the be all and end all, but I think for like a large, overreaching, like intro to feminism, I think it's phenomenal. I think it was made with so much heart and so much love and knowledge and care of the subject matter that I wish we saw more with other things. Like, it seems so odd because it's something that would seem so frivolous, but it was made with so much attention to detail. The filmmaking aspects were done with so much attention to detail that one for one shot with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Until.
Just phenomenal. Everything was so good. I wish that everything had that love and attention to detail. Like I said, the discontinued Barbies, those were some deep cuts, but they explain them all. I always love when you see something that includes everybody. It's here for the people who know about it, and it's also here for people who don't. And I think I'm really interested to see. I'm afraid there'll be a backlash and a backswing because this movie, women aren't allowed to enjoy anything. Women having fun means we've got to squish it. But I really hope that this carries on. I really hope this movement and this moment carries on. Guarantee you will see nothing but Barbies and Kens for Halloween. But I'm so excited for it. I'm so stoked to see all the different Barbies that we're going to get for Halloween. Barbie Ween.
Oh yeah, Barbie Lane. They can be sipping Barbie Lane.
I said Barbie Ween.
Freaking yeah. I just back to I really I enjoyed this movie. I had a good time. One thing that I really like is I love a movie that fan service and everything, and sometimes if you really dive hard into it, like in nothing else, like it'll sour a movie even. But I really love like really good fan service, you know what I mean, in a movie. And like I felt that when watching this movie, and I'm not even jacked into the Barbie fandom, right? You know what I mean? Like it is something that like I had a little sister and she had a lot of Barbie stuff. So like I respected that, but it was like this thing where I really when I was watching, I was like, man, I really wish I was watching this with somebody who was a huge Barbie fan, you know what I mean? Like because like I can tell, and I'm not into Barbie stuff, but I can tell that there's so much like love put into this, you know what I mean? Like from like the set dressing or from like just things feeling like, oh, like this is in Barbie land, it feels like a Barbie imagination kind of a land, right? Like, and it's like I get that, yeah. And then they got the plates or whatever, and the things that are weird sizes, and the you know what I mean. It's like I get all of this, you know what I mean, and I dug that, like. So I love the fan service, and like as far as like the movement that this created, I'm like super happy for that too. And like again, like I'm not even jacked in, but it's like something that like I feel like in a similar vein to like when we did the Black Panther 2 episode, and I was kind of like talking about that, like this whole like I like when a movement of people can like feel like I don't know. I don't think more empowered is the right word. Just like maybe felt or seen or heard, like because like this big thing is coming out, and then it brings like people together. You're right. You know what I mean? Like this big movement that brings people together. I'm all for things that do that, and this is doing that, and it like made me. And it hit me in that button. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, like that's so cool that like all these people have this thing and they're all like jazzed about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm jazzed that they're jazzed, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like so, like I'm glad that this movie is doing that for a lot of people, and I'm glad that I saw this movie and that it. You know what I mean? Like it hit me in the way that it did. You know what I mean? I think it's a great time. You know, I hope they keep knocking it out of the park. I don't think we'll. I don't know that. I mean, it's made a lot of money, so it'd be like weird for them not to do a Barbie 2, but I don't know like where they would go with a Barbie 2. Like, do you just do Ken Ken a Ken
Different
movie?
Barbies,
Like I don't know, like or just President Barbie. Come on, Barbie,
right?
let's
We can get different Barbie. We could get deeper into all kinds of things. I think it's funny you brought up Black Panther because somebody called this Black Panther for white women.
here.
I did hear that. I did see that.
I'm gonna find the
I'm like,
video
I
where
don't
somebody
know.
goes like they go shot for shot, almost like describing like in a fictional world that you can only access by special transportation and untouched by the outside world. An interloper comes with ideas from the outside world that start to affect. It's like, wow.
That is amazing.
I thought it was awesome. I had a lot of fun. I thought it had a great message. I thought I didn't know about the heroine's journey. I didn't know a lot about the stuff that Sarah talked about. So that's why I was quiet because I was listening. Sarah was preaching. Sarah was teaching. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna shut up, let her talk. And not like I wanted to listen. I was trying to learn to what you were saying. That's why I was quiet, Sarah.
Not because I talk too much.
Yeah.
I clearly know a
What?
lot about the subject.
No, that's why I was quiet because I'm like, I'm listening. So I did not know about heroine's journey. I'm like, again, so I'm gonna look into that. But I think it's a great movie. It's a fun time. I don't know. I don't understand. I did not see what we were complaining about. I think it's only there if you're looking for if you're looking for that, it's there because I did not see. Because I thought it's at the end of the day, it's a movie made for little girls. At the end of the day, like CJ said, it's an adult movie that's not crass, but ultimately Barbie's like the main audience, right, is little girls. So ultimately,
Incorrect.
like comic books, ultimately it's for kids. But I read them.
Barbie is for everyone. I would have to push back on you on that. One, this movie is not for children.
Agreed is to disagree, Sarah.
Barbie is for everyone.
Listen,
Not for little girls. And never was. Barbie wasn't necessarily marketed just to little girls either. That's why Barbie's had so many different lines that were nobody's buying their child a $50 Barbie. Nobody's buying their child a $100 Barbie. Barbie is for everyone. Because capitalism owns us all.
yes. A second final thought though. I actually I do really appreciate doing this show with you, Sarah. Somebody who is a huge Barbie fan, B like woman. Right?
That helps. It helps to have a woman on the show when you're talking about Barbie.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like just so we don't sound like complete idiots, you know
Yes.
what I mean? Like,
Yes. It's like,
talking
It would
about
be really weird to have like two dudes talking about the Barbie movie. That would be odd.
we've done it before.
you know.
I believe
But
you.
no, super. But also, like, not beyond that though, like straight up, I did learn some stuff talking to you, and like freaking, you know what I mean. Just your wealth of knowledge. I appreciate what you brought to today's episode. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I really appreciate being appreciated. It's nice to have somebody to contribute because the rest of the time I'm mostly learning from all of the rest of you who know so much more about all of these other fandoms. I didn't realize how much I knew about Barbie, I think is kind of the interesting part. I had no idea how much I knew and how much it's been such a part of my life until this movie and this moment. And then I was like, oh no, I know a lot about it. As it turns out, Barbie has been a part of my life and especially girls in the 90s, especially us, the whole time. There were so many cool Barbies in the 90s, so many. I wish we'd gotten to see any of the color changing. There was like a SeaWorld kind of Barbie. She like trained an orca whale. She came with an orca whale, and when you got her legs wet, they turned black and it's like a wetsuit. That was a cool Barbie. There was a lot of color changing Barbies. There was a lot of they put a lot of interesting toy tech into Barbie, which I find fascinating. The thing we didn't touch on was some of the weird, I don't know, there was some weird American things that happened that are totally separate. But I don't know. There's been a lot of conversations on the internet that have been fascinating. I love that it's making people talk. I love it's giving people so much to talk about.
Nice.
Cool.
New conversation.
Necessary.
This was a lot longer than I expected it to be. Some stuff will be, we'll have to be
So I'm sure they've got plenty of things to cut out.
No, I'll make it work. But no, for real, Sarah, like TJ said, to echo CJ, like, no, I'm glad you're here because we don't seem like idiots now with just like two dudes talking about a girl, a Barbie movie. And I'm like, I'm really glad you were here. Like, yeah, I'm glad.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy to talk about things I know about. happy to like, as I said the first time, like I can nerd out about stuff that I know about. There's not a ton of it, but there's definitely some pockets.
But when you nerd out, you nerd out hard. Like,
I have ADHD, so it's called a hyperfocus.
What did you say?
ADHD comes from hyperfocus, and so
I heard something completely different. I'm like, I'm not even say that. Okay. Thank you, Sarah. We'll see you same freaking time, same freaking channel. Frack off.